What's the most bizarre/awkward gift you've received in your life? Wrote about this before, but at a birthday party in front of my family, my GF at the time gave me an illustrated journal of every time we saw each other from the first date till current, about 6 mo's. Included movie ticket stubs from our first date, the receipt from Chipotle from our second date, so she must have been planning this stuff for a while. Then it got graphically awkward. Pages dedicated to us having sex had smiley face stickers, days where we had fights had frowny face ones. One memorable entry was a page written in large text: "We tried to have sex but you couldn't," and all the while, she's sitting next to me beaming like I've just been given a winning lottery ticket. Meanwhile, the discomfort from my family was painful. One year my parents bought me stilts and a juggling kit for Christmas, and then a unicycle for my birthday a few months later. I had never expressed an interest in the circus or anything of the sort. A very large basket of candy. That was sugar-free for diabetics, despite me not being a diabetic, but the gifter was. It was one of those decent-sized baskets too, like $100. Never figured out why they gave me that of all things. Our step-family gave me and my sister a single, used, women's size 8 skirt to share for Christmas when we were 10 and 11, and neither of us had even hit 100 pounds yet. Even my mom didn't wear that size. We were a scrawny bunch back then. We were called ungrateful when we were confused by it. One year for my birthday my brother got me a gift card, which isn't really unique, but the way he wrapped it certainly was. Instead of a box or bag or whatever, he bought a piñata and put my present inside of it. He shoved the gift card right up the opening in its butt, and then he duct taped it shut. That was a fun one to open. I'll definitely never forget it, LOL. My grandpa bought me a lingerie set for my 13th birthday. I was the one who gave the gift. When I was about 10, my mom would bring me and my brothers all to the local Dollar Tree one at a time to buy gifts for each other. I ended up buying my older brother a can of Febreze. No idea why. I wouldn't necessarily call it either of those, but it was somewhat strange in how random it was. I was working in a pre-surgery clinic. This older gentleman came in and we were having a normal conversation while I did his vitals. Just before I told him to return to the waiting room, he asked me what year I was born. Not thinking much of it, I told him, and he pulled out this big white binder and started flipping through the pages. After a few seconds, he pulled out a page and gave it to me. It was a collection of various coins from around the world dated with the year I was born. I think it was bizarre in the sense of how random his act of kindness was, and I certainly wasn't expecting to be given a part of a coin collection as a thank you. I still have it and think about it a lot. For an awkward gift, not me, but when my brother was in the throes of puberty, my parents got him a basket of breath mints, tongue scraper, mouthwash, strong-smelling soaps and loofahs. Multiple kind of deodorants with a helpful hint that you can use more than one at a time. Lots of new socks and boxers. Deodorized shoe inserts. He got the hint and was not pleased. Bless them, I mean they really tried. I'm not sure there's any way to tell your pubescent child they stink without them being a little bothered. It didn't help that they gave it to him in front of the rest of the family, though. I worked in a thrift store, and every day this older woman would come in and look at whatever was new and talk to me. One day she came in, handed me a small gold Turkish dagger and said, "This reminded me of you." I'm a 5 feet tall white girl woman shrugging. My brother went to some flea market and decided to pick me up a little tiny sculpture of a monkey straddling a penis the size of his whole body. There are many, all of them from my grandma. Her gifts are both feared and revered. One that comes to mind is the bag of combs. My grandma is a retired hairdresser. She is also one to save everything. During my horribly awkward teenage years, I'd begun using product to style my hair in an attempt to look cool. Grandma took notice and gifted me a plastic freezer bag absolutely stuffed with about 30 or 40 used combs and partially used hair styling products that she'd saved from her salon over the years. Most of the combs were sticky and festooned with a few decades worth of stray hairs. One container of hair product was so old that its contents had actually dried to dust and blew away into the breeze when I opened it. Grandma, well, you're just so into your looks these days, I thought you could put those to use. Paper clips wrapped in cardboard, mailed from my hometown, mind, with a note from my mom, thought you could use these. Always thinking of us, but we do have paper clips here. My mother-in-law got me an Alexis Texas fleshlight. She needed to use my computer the one day she was at our house and noticed it in my search history. I've used it plenty of times, but I still feel weird thinking of where it came from. My Norwegian grandma once bought me a standard t-shirt for my 13th birthday that read Vaginatarian in big bold letters on the front. And yes, she doesn't speak English. My high school boyfriend went to a steakhouse with his parents and thought I might like the steak knives, so he asked the waitress if he could keep them. I broke up with a guy in my 20s and kept asking him to give me back a portrait a friend had done of me. It was always clear it was mine and I was just letting him borrow it. For 3 years he didn't give it back. Then for some bizarre reason we started dating again, and again I asked him for it back. Then he gave it to me for Christmas a few months later, rather than get me a gift. Another year he got me a kid to make him sushi. Yes, to make it for him. Surprisingly enough, that second relationship didn't go well either. He always told me I gave him the most thoughtful gifts and he always gave me random things. It wasn't about the gifts. It was a symptom of how he just didn't invest much time or thought into me. When I was 9, my parents got me a ton of wilderness survival gear. Like a kid with freeze-dried food, windshield lighters, thermal socks, waterproof toilet paper. Everything you'd get a kid of you planned on leaving them in the wilderness. Half a 6-pack of whitey-tidy underwear, size 40. The other half was given to my dad, who was twice my size. Needless to say, they didn't fit my 120-pound frame. It was from my crazy aunt when I was 12 or so. On my 12th birthday, almost all the gifts I received were candles. A family member wrote Chrysler on my birthday card instead of my name, which is not Chrysler. From then on, any time I emailed that person, I would sign the email with my full name and my relation to that person. Example, Jane Doe, cousin. A videotape rewinder for my 10th birthday. What the fuck, Dad? I was 14, my aunt gave me a videotape entitled, Sex and Love, What's a Teenager to Do? A very religious tape I opened in front of my whole family. Also, because we drew names, it was actually from my 6-year-old cousin. Not received, but I found a cassette tape at Goodwill of someone playing the oboe with nature sounds and whale calls in the background and gave it to my brother. My mom sent me a plastic fake trophy she bought in Vegas that said "World's Best Son." She mailed it from Canada to Japan in a box with other tourist trinkets like leather friendship bracelets made by Mexican street kids, a little bottle of vanilla, etc. The postage had to be at least 100x the value of the crap inside. I'm not even that great of a son. My grandma bought me a Ross Parrott commemorate plate when I was a little kid. It's still not worth anything. Half an egg box, with a plastic thing that stops your pizza box collapsing glued inside. It was from a 4-year-old and I had to act excited. I'm sure it's the thought that counts, but I still haven't figured it out. Christmas 2005 I opened a gift from my husband which was an army-type Ken doll, shirtless, with a picture of my husband's smiling face taped on the doll's head. I had a girlfriend in college whose family's house I visited for Christmas one year. This was the first Christmas we had spent together, but we had been together almost a year at that point, and I had already met the family and been to their home for other family gatherings, so it wasn't all first meeting awkwardness or anything like that. I had apparently become familiar enough to the family that her grandmother, who I had only met once previously, got me a gift as well, an unexpected surprise for sure, made only ever so slightly awkward, however, when as she handed it to me she said, most merrily, "Merry Christmas, Ken. I know you like video games, you have to buy your own batteries for this." Okay, first off, my name is not Ken, but it's kind of close in a monosyllabic way, I guess, so I immediately wrote that off. Secondly, what she handed me was an unwrapped but still in its tattered box handheld slot machine game that required 2 AAA batteries. The game was purchased at a yard sale, a fact made evident by the handwritten $1 sticker that was still affixed to it. I sincerely appreciated the thought that she even remembered my existence, if even she didn't know my actual name, or what a video game was, for that matter, and her granddaughter and I had a hearty chuckle about the whole scenario when we were alone later on, and I will always remember it for being the most bizarrely awkward gift I've ever received. My uncle kept buying me Civilization V. He bought it for me for Christmas and my birthday, over and over. My grandmother gave me a leather whip on Christmas. Why Grammy? Why? An empty envelope. It had everything written on it, the name of the person who gifted it, and properly glued. My roommate's ex, while trying to win her back, once gave her a bag full of gifts that included both ankle weights and some of his late father's ashes. Neither of us quite knew what to do with that. One Christmas my mom got me SpongeBob everything. SpongeBob pillow, pajamas, stuffed animal, slippers, t-shirt etc. All because I mentioned I thought it was a funny show. Not a gift, but the wrapping paper said Happy Hanukkah. I'm not Jewish. They're not Jewish. My mate once gave me a toilet seat for birthday. He even had my picture superimposed on the lid as well. This was whilst I was in uni a fair few years ago. From my friend on my birthday, a homemade photo flip book of her girlfriend and her brothers acting out a fight in Power Rangers outfits. For a gift I gave one time, I had Gary Busey wish my girlfriend a happy birthday on video. There's a site that has a bunch of celebs that do personalized shout-outs that I got it from. I like to camp, So my aunt decided that a perfect gift for me was a portable toilet. Picture a baby walker, but instead of a comfy seat to rest your bottom there is a 5-inch depth compartment where your brownies go. So my ex gets into a car accident back in November. It's pretty bad. She ended up in the hospital till January. Now let's step back. She used my car, I left her the keys as an emergency, and this emergency was driving to her friend's house. So she destroyed my car and I wasn't even able to retrieve some important items I had in the car. Okay, whatever. Christmas time comes and she is so excited to give me my gift. Turned out she got me a GPS system. No irony to the fact that we no longer had a car because of her accident, so it was a worthless gift. I tried not to show anger or confusion on why she was so excited. I can't remember what birthday I got this gift on, but I was a kid and I got a pair of inexplicably bright orange pants, the super skinny but elastic type. I have never been known for wearing anything flashy, let alone skinny jeans, and I am a guy and the jeans were clearly meant for a more feminine physique. It was a weird gift to receive. Especially for me because this did not fit any part of my taste at all. I wasn't salty or anything, I still accepted it, but I just never wore it. Not a single time. I think I ended up giving it away at some point, but I still wonder why someone felt that would be the ideal gift for me. I got a potato on my birthday for a potato gun that I later received. I was raised mostly by my well-off grandparents whose idea of love was a shower of gifts at Christmas. It was awesome, don't get me wrong, but eventually all the little trinkets and things I'd use once and forget became old. It felt like they were trying to buy my love with them. It was quite an abusive household at times, so when I got away from them and spent my first Christmas with my dad, stepmom, and sister, we only got each other one gift each, and it was great. It was about family, not stuff. Well, sure enough, my grandma sent a big box full of random stuff that was more than everything else we all got combined. I remember seeing the look on my dad's face because he thought that was my expectation, but honestly I hated it. I didn't want all that useless crap, I just wanted to be with my family. It made me feel awkward as hell. Well, I got a razor when I was 14, no signs of a beard, and a snow shovel when I was 16, it doesn't snow where I live. In 8th grade we did Secret Santa. I get to school and see stuffed animals, other gifts, whatever. I get my gift. It's a folded piece of green construction paper, like a card. It's written in pencil. Inside I find a dollar bill and a quarter held to the card with Scotch tape. My classmate forgot about Secret Santa. I was really quiet and meek back then, so everyone felt so bad for me, but I got home and laughed my fucking ass off. It was the most hilarious, weird, sad present I'd ever gotten, and I was so happy because it was genuinely the funniest thing ever, albeit unintentionally. I got an assorted package of nuts from Amazon from my brother as a Christmas present. I was a top for a tech college computer program. My students were primarily single 20-somethings that were mostly good dudes, just a little awkward around girls. It is at this point I should establish that I am, in fact, a girl, and I was the only one. However, there was this one very specific student, who we will call Steve, was the picturesque nice guy, mansplainer, neckbeard. Hated being taught by a girl, but insisted on hanging out with me and a small group of guys who had become friends through the program. Most unnerving, however, was the fact that instead of staring at my chest, as most men do, he would stare unblinkingly at the crotch of my pants. To the point we would have to shout at him to get him to snap out of it and look away. Valentine's Day rolls around. I got a few presents, mostly candy, and a flower, which was all very nice and good, until Steve walked in carrying a package. I open it and I find pajamas. I won't specify what kind, but you kinda get the idea. So here I am, standing amongst several of my students, holding pajamas from this guy with the most dumbfounded look. He ended up dropping the course the end of that semester. No idea what happened to him, but I still cringe whenever I think about it. A very colorful framed portrait based on a Facebook profile picture. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome, but also bizarre considering he had only known me from working together for 3 months. My grandfather is so frugal, he gave my uncle a Swiss Army knife he got, as a gift, from some gift shop. Only thing is, it was embossed with my grandfather's name. My uncle re-gifted it to me, because I have my grandfather's name. Someone gifted me a mayonnaise jar, with a bottle of shampoo. Not gonna lie, I loved them both. My first real relationship, in the sense that it involved the mutual mashing together of naughty bits, began when I was 16 years old. It lasted for 2.5 years, which I've been told is fairly impressive for a couple in high school. What made that span of time most notable, though, was the fact that the young woman and I were almost completely incompatible, and that was never more evident than when she tried to give me gifts. During our first Christmas together, my then girlfriend gave me a pair of hand weights, of the sort that might be held by a jogger wearing neon leggings. They had clearly been purchased from the bargain bin at the local thrift store, but I told myself it was the thought that mattered, even if very little evident thought had gone into the gift at all. Besides, we had only been dating for about 3 months, and it was probably unfair of me to expect anything at all. Unfortunately, that would set the stage for every gift I'd receive from the girl. I need to pause for a moment and explain something about this young woman. Although she was allegedly ambitious, she had almost zero patience for practice or preparation. Her idea of putting on a poetry performance, for example, was to get up on stage and improvise while using a tone of voice that made it sound like she was reciting something. That would have been fine, except for the fact that she was really bad at improvisation, and she had a tendency to lie about how much work she'd done on something. Please keep that in mind when I tell you this. For my 18th birthday, this young woman, who was also, I should mention, completely tone deaf, forced me to sit in a plastic folding chair for as long as it took her to sing her way through 3 love songs by Elvis Presley. I hated Elvis at the time, and watching this girl attempt, and fail, to mumble her way through Love Me Tender was as close to torture as I'd been through. Worse still, I had to sit back and pretend that I enjoyed it, because as she told me, she'd worked really hard on it. TLDR, an unwanted serenade from a tone-deaf torturer. My godfather gave me a grenade that he told me it was used for police training. It has some tape on it, so he told me not to take them off, because if I did, and pulled the pin, it wouldn't come back inside. Okay, so I even took that thing to school, played, and forgot about it for some time. Some months later, I decided to open it as it was kind of strange. It looked like it was made to be disassembled. Took the tape off and discovered that it was actually a weed hacker. I was like WTF, as my parents was prosecutors, in a city with 30K and was well known all around. I mean, what that POS had in mind when he gave me that. Edit 1. I think that Google Translator failed with me this time. By weed hacker I meant that thing you put the pieces of weed you take out the block, they are kind of coarse, so you put them inside and twist on, and its sharp teeth makes the weed kinda loose so it gets easier to roll up. Edit 2, Google failed with me, so weed hacker equals weed grinder. Not sure if it counts, but my parents putting a ton of condoms in my suitcase for sleepaway summer school when I was 17. Grandma got me a sports bra when I was 11. For Christmas. In front of all my family, little brothers, uncle, grandpa. I didn't even have a real bra yet. When I was 11, my uncle got me a chocolate bar already bitten into it and a can of sardines for Christmas. I don't remember it, but my mom said when I was 1 my great aunt got me a giant, 6 feet tall, 100+ pound teddy bear. My girlfriend gave me a pair of panties that had cockpit, pilots only written on them. This was shortly after I enrolled in the Air Force with the intent of becoming a pilot. I think she may have bought them for herself, and when she realized they were too big she gave them to me, trying to pass them off as men's bikini briefs. Or maybe she honestly thought they were men's underwear. Got a penis pump last year from my aunt and uncle, but it apparently was supposed to go to someone else. I was just like, whatever, mine now. My friend gave me a pocket pussy on my 18th birthday. My parents were in attendance. White elephant gift exchange at work. I pick up a gift bag that felt fairly heavy, open it up, and it's a pickle jar with 2 pickles and some juice left, and the lid was glued and taped on. Nothing else. Everyone is like, WTF. No one ever confessed, but I'm pretty sure I know who it was. Everyone else got something funny, inappropriate, and a $5 gift card, LOL. After breaking up with an ex and moving out, I had to cut all contact with her completely. About a month later, I came home from work with a migraine. So there I was, minding my own business, when the doorbell starts ringing. I'm not expecting anyone, so just decide to ignore it. It continues unabated for a couple of minutes, so I get ready to go downstairs and tell whoever it is to make like a tree. On opening my front door, I hear a voice coming up through the letter box. Whisper planning? I know you're there. I know you're ignoring me. I just want to give you your Christmas present. Yeah, no. Not happening. I close the front door, turn the doorbell off and go to bed. I wake up a couple of hours later and decide I'd best go down to check she hasn't damaged anything. Upon reaching the front door, I find a crushed but fully wrapped present that's been forced through the letterbox. I won't lie, I felt guilty. Right up until I picked it up, that is. It was very light, too light even. On closer inspection, it turned out to be an empty chocolate orange box. To this day I believe that present was a decoy to get into my home. What her intentions were next, I don't know. But I doubt they were good.